Mr. President, it concerns me that this body is unwilling, notwithstanding the many statements we've heard over the last 2 weeks of engaging in collaboration, working cooperatively, working in a bipartisan way, that we could not come together and I think vote in favor of a rather reasonable motion to commit, especially considering the candidate himself had indicated his willingness to participate in that process. And I also think that it's unfortunate that we're not listening to our constituents, and we're not listening to the citizens and taxpayers of this community. In that regard, I will give you one more last opportunity and make another motion. This time the motion is to postpone. And Mr. President, in accordance with Article 7, Section 545-30 of our rules, incorporating Robert's rules, I move that the question before us in referral 08232 be postponed to the next full legislature meeting on August 12, 2008. I make this motion because of two reasons. One, the reasons that I just articulated under the motion to commit, and that is our charge is to fully vet any candidate that we are going to vote on in the primary. And we have not done that, as evidenced by President Zara's responses to my question. And number two, because there is not a matter of urgency tonight. This referral is before us as a matter of urgency, but there is not an articulated matter of urgency. We have an interim president in MCC now. We have a search that will begin, but it is not absolutely necessary, it is not urgent that we make this appointment tonight. A 4-week delay is not going to delay the process of a presidential selection, which is probably going to take another year in the making. And it would give us the opportunity to fulfill our duty and our obligation as legislators to fully vet a nominee for appointment. Therefore, I make the motion to postpone.
I second the motion to suspend.
Thank you, Mr. President. I note a speaker during public input this evening made what I consider to maybe be the ultimate question for us here as regards this amendment. And she asked if we had had an opportunity to work collaboratively to fully vet the candidate that's being proposed tonight. And of course, the answer to that is sadly no. This gives us an opportunity to do that. And it's not solely the question of time to fully understand the credentials of the nominee, but to work collaboratively. And the county executive has called for a new spirit of collaboration and cooperation throughout this county, and that needs to extend to this body. And unfortunately, we're seeing very little signs of an injection of the spirit of collaboration in the legislature. By adopting this motion, gives us an opportunity at least to take a step back after a very contentious search process for a new MCC president and work collaboratively and talk to each other about who is the appropriate person to be on the MCC board. And let's just take one step back. Let's accept pass this motion, and take this matter up after we've had that opportunity to work collaboratively, as the county executive has encouraged us to do as we perform our duties as legislators. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Eckel.
Thank you, Mr. President. My esteemed colleagues, as we consider this amendment, I'd like you to consider what is truly at stake here. The charter of the college is to serve the students first and foremost. Those students who are going there now, primarily from our county, and those students who hopefully will be staying in our county to work here and live here and thrive here. Please understand, we're not trying to tell someone, no, we don't want you for political reasons. please understand that we just have the best interests of the college in mind. We ask that we can put this off for 1 month so we can speak to the person in question, so we can make sure that we are comfortable with the person in question, so we can do our due diligence. I ask and urge my colleagues to support this amendment and vote yes to holding on for just 1 month. Thank you.
Further discussion?
Mr. President, I heard tonight Legislator O'Brien and Legislator Bronson talk about, the lack of opportunity to, interview this individual, the lack of opportunity to collaborate on it. What's the rush to appoint an individual? But on the other side, I saw Governor Patterson appoint an individual to the Board of Trustees. I didn't see in the paper any names of any other individuals that had applied. I know less about the other individual that Governor Patterson appointed than I know about this individual, so I'm going to vote for this individual.
I have a motion to postpone. Mr. Ryan?
Just one moment for further discussion. This appointment is a county legislative appointment. That's an important distinction. The governor's appointment is the governor's responsibility. This legislative body has a responsibility to make an appointment too. The least we can do is talk amongst each other as colleagues before we make such an important decision. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further discussion? If not, on the motion to postpone.
Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Quattro?
No.
Mr. Bronson?
Yes.
Mr. Adair?
No.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
No.
Mr. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Cassetti?
No.
Mr. Vogel?
No.
Mr. Daniele? Mr. Dodson?
No.
Mr. Driscoll?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Gamble?
Yes.
Mr. Gumina?
Yes.
Mr. Haney?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah? Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. O'Fountain?
No.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Lightfoot? Mr. McCann?
No.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Terrell? Mrs. Valerio?
No.
Mr. Yolovich?
No.
And President Zaire.
No.
Department 15 passed.
Main motion. Further discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise tonight to explain my no vote this evening on the nomination or the appointment of Mr. Bartolata to the Board of Trustees for Monroe Community College. I feel like I've only really served here a few years, not even 3 full years, and yet there have been so many times when issues like this have come before us, and I guess some things just really never do change. I'm just going to go through briefly 3 things, this being the final one that we have witnessed here, and all 3, I think, have had negative outcomes, or certainly have the potential of having very negative outcomes and damaging this community. Backing up, probably 9 months ago, we had the FAIR plan, which was proposed before us. At about an hour-and-a-half notice to at least I guess there were 12 of us at that point on my side of the aisle. We didn't see that proposal beforehand. We had an hour-and-a-half to understand it and then to come before you and vote on that proposal. I think we made an irrevocable decision that evening to opt into the Medicaid Intercept, which arguably has already cost the county money, as any increase in sales tax revenue now stays in New York State rather than coming back to Monroe County. We also have seen how well the FAIR plan has fared in the court system, and I think that most people certainly don't believe that the county will be successful in its current appeal of that litigation. Again, a major decision with absolutely no notice to the people who had to make that decision. Public defender, a couple months ago, I don't think anybody in this room can fail to remember that event. Again, we asked for collaboration, we asked for input, we asked for delays. Constituents came before you and asked for that same thing, and we were denied time and time again. We saw what happened. One of the most blatant acts of racism that I've certainly witnessed while being a member of this body. We saw metal detectors, we saw increased security, we saw travesty in terms of what we're supposed to be representing for this community.